Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. For the majority of you who do not know me, I am New Slender Arts, and today I am recording pretty much my first YouTube video. And the subject of that video is going to be something I'm sure most of us are certainly familiar with, and that is the hit indie game series Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm not going to be talking about a specific part of the franchise or criticize it or really anything like that. What I'm going to do for you all here today is I'm just gonna yap about why I love Five Nights at Freddy's, what it means to me. Cause I don't know what it was, but I just felt like in the past in the past couple, I want to say 2-3 years, I feel like at least the bigger ones, when people would talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, it would be mostly negative, or it would just be, kind of the same opinion I'm sure many of us are tired or are not tired of hearing. I'm not here to judge, which is that, oh, Five Nights at Freddy's is going on. That sounds too rude. Oh, Five Nights at Freddy's is going on way too long. Oh, it should have ended. Oh, this doesn't make sense. Oh, this, and that. And I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to talk about it. In fact, all those things that people don't like, I'm going to, I guess you could say, embrace them, because, well, I have been a part of this franchise, been obsessed with this franchise since I think, the very, very, very first Five Nights at Freddy's video I ever saw was Jacksepticeye playing it, which was also my first Jacksepticeye video. Which, contrary to everyone else's, which was Markiplier, I did discover him first, but I did not watch his Five Nights at Freddy's videos. I didn't even know what that was. But, when I saw Jack's video, it got me in, seeing Springtrap, which is, everybody's favorite character, Springtrap, William Afton. It just hooked me. And then when I went on my grandmother's phone, I downloaded the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 demo and got jump scared by Freddy, and that has started a near decade long, yeah, a decade now, obsession. So, stay with me, or don't. I'm just happy. If you even got this far, I'm happy to hear that. But if you want to, please stick around and just, please, listen to me yap about this 10-year-old indie horror franchise that means so very much to me, that I just want to get my thoughts out there. I guess to start off, Five Nights at Freddy's is, well, I guess that's another thing to start off, is Five Nights at Freddy's is the story of a lot of things, and that's not even just talking about the games. It delves into various themes, subject matter, concepts, just, I don't really know how to explain it, so I'm just gonna explain it the best I can. But I guess to really preface it, Five Nights at Freddy's is basically the story of you playing as various night guards, people, as the night guard of the building, and you watch over the animatronics as strange things happening. To name them off would be Mike Schmidt, Michael Afton, Jeremy Fitzgerald. Yeah, I mix his last name up a lot. Jeremy Fitzgerald, Fritz Smith, Hudson Foster, which that is something I believe. I believe he is the guard for 3, so I will refer to it as such. But the more popular belief is Michael Afton, specifically as a corpse. I don't get it either. And then Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is kind of both Michael and Crying Child, I'll get into that later. And then Sister Location, Michael Afton again. Pizzeria Simulator, Michael Afton again. Ultimate Custom Night, William Afton in A Nightmare. Help Wanted. I forget who the player is in Help Wanted. I'm not sure if it's ever said. I've not played that game since it released. Gregory, Security Breach, Cassie's dad in Help Wanted 2, I believe is the popular theory, which people also believe is Jeremy. I'm not too convinced, but I'll say it. And then finally we have Oswald in Into the Pit. Each one of them goes through their own journey throughout these 5, sometimes one night, sometimes 3. Sometimes 3. Not always 5. Sometimes it's 7. Maybe one time it's going to be 10. Who knows? But they all go through their own thing and try to survive the night. But you, as the player, have to unravel the mystery of what's going on. And I guess that's one of the main components that drew a lot of people into Five Nights at Freddy's, me included, is the lore. What's going on here? What does this mean? How does this connect? How does all this, what does it all mean? And everybody, and I mean this, everybody has their own interpretation of the story. No two people are gonna have the same thing. I'm confident about that. I'll get into what I believe later because it's a lot. Me personally, it was not until, I guess, 2 years. That's fairly recent. For a long time, I was like, and this isn't a bad thing, like everybody else, just watching MadPat and trying to get it off him. But recently, I've kind of just was like, okay, I'm going to forget all that. I'm going to go read the books again, and I'm going to build a story off that. And that's what I did. And that's what I talk about. But a lot of people, and this upsets me, because those books have, some of my favorite characters. A lot of people discredit the books for various reasons, understandable reasons. But a lot of people discredit them, tone them down, don't acknowledge them, outright hate them. I've met people who have left this franchise because of them, but I like them. I mean, in a weird way, they got me back into reading. Well, not got me back into reading. A friend did that, but I have dyslexia, mild dyslexia. And because of that, it has always been a pain and ADHD, which does not help. It has always been a pain, for me to read and understand stuff, so I would just never do it. But then, those books released, and I started trying to read them. And eventually I got through them, and I really liked them. But we are going to... I'm jumping from topic to topic. I'll try to stop, but we are not going to talk about that right now. Right now, I'm going to talk about what initially hooked me all the way back then. When I first saw that video. To me, what I think hooked me was, obviously Springtrap, but I think what got me was just just I can't even really explain it, but I want to say just the designs of everyone, because I'm an artist, so I love shit like that. I was so captivated by just the designs of the characters, Springtrap, the Phantoms, and then later on when I looked up at the rest of the series, I fell in love with the character designs. I fell in love with this world, and I started drawing them. One of the first pieces of Five Nights at Freddy's fan art I ever drew, I'm stuttering, was Springtrap. And I still have it, and I'm going to try to see if I can find it, and I'll have it shown somewhere here, so you guys can see. But, then I I started like going on YouTube and looking up, more and more about Five Nights at Freddy's, and I stumbled across all these beautiful, all these beautiful animations and fan art and SFM stuff. I didn't even know what that meant for the longest time. Of people taking the characters and making them move and making them dance and making them sing and making them act out all these dumb little scenarios. And I fell in love with it. I wanted to do that. I remember I tried to download its source on my phone and I got so upset when I couldn't. Literally, it was not until 2 months ago where I got a laptop. I'm not even kidding. 2 months ago, I'm 18, finally got a laptop and I finally started doing it. I'm living out Little Me's fantasies and it's going. I'll try to see if I can get I'm trying to figure out how to get the videos out of there and show y'all what I'm making, but I remember seeing all that and just being so inspired and like wanting to make my own little videos of that, and because I couldn't, and as you can see on this channel and a very, very old channel of mine, I would just download pictures off Google. I'd go to some crappy editing thing, software, whatever, put a song, and I would just make that. They wouldn't even be properly cropped, and I put it on YouTube, and I would love doing it. I would listen to these songs for hours upon hours upon hours, even in school, and just like act out my own scenarios and bouncy animations with the characters. And I think that's what I think that's what a lot of people, a lot of us who were, who were younger and were like just getting into the fandom, like that's a lot of what we consumed, and I imagine what kept us, what made us like it more, and discovering more and more artists, meeting friends, meeting all these new people, all these great experiences, and just having a good time with this franchise. And it's a great thing. It's a great thing to look back on, to remember the beginning of this franchise and just really think about where we are now, which that is another thing. Talking about the early days of Five Nights at Freddy's, and just as you can hear in my voice, just the nostalgia colored glasses. Nostalgia tinted glasses? Whatever. And talking about it like that, and like going off of that, and then looking at it, because I feel that nostalgia blinds people and kind of, because a very common complaint you'll hear is like, oh, it was good up until the science fiction stuff started coming in, which is fair. It is fair, but I don't believe that at all. See, what I think is, and what happened to me for a brief period of time is, I kind of dipped for a little and then I came back and like, oh, what's going on? What's Remnant? What's Agony? What's all that? And then people would explain it to me with like buzzwords like time traveling ball pit, this cult of Afton, uh, uh, Springtrap impregnates a guy, sea bonnie, no, yeah, sea bonnies, Remnant, and the way people would explain it, it kind of like, oh god, that sounds so dumb. And some of it is. Some of it is. Some of it very much is. But hearing that, and then I feel like hearing that can lead people to being like, oh, it was so much better back then. And, the whole, oh, FNAF should have ended at. Which, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I think that's one of the most overplayed and dumb opinions that you could have. It's just like a stale white bread opinion at this point. Like, oh, Five Nights at Freddy, yeah, whatever. Yeah. But I feel like people don't give that stuff a chance. I feel like people will hear something and they won't look too far into it, and then they'll just keep that as their opinion, and then it won't change because, they decided they didn't like it before they even gave it a shot. which I did that. I unfairly judged those things up until I actually delved into them. I read The Silver Eyes. I read The Fourth Closet. No. I read The Twisted Ones, The Fourth Closet. I got the graphic novels first. Those fucking suck. They do. And then I just... I dare... The graphic novels are not great a lot of the time. They cut out so much stuff, but as just a bare bones quick summary of the stories with little pictures, I guess they're fine. They were fine for me because of my reading disorder, but I decided to actually go and try to read the full novels, and I like them. I went and read Fazbear Frights. I went and read Tales from the Pizzaplex when they came out. I read the logbook. I read all that. I read through all of them, and I found myself wanting to like explore these stories more, to get to know these characters better. Like one of my favorite stories with one of my favorite characters is Count the Ways with Millie, with Fritz Simmons? I believe it's Fritz or Fitzsimmons, one of them. She is one of my favorite Fazbear Frights characters because, I could relate to her. I liked her. I liked her story. I felt so bad for her, and that just made the story better for me. To Be Beautiful, with its message with Sarah, like, oh, you were beautiful, which it is a common story, but like, oh, you were beautiful all along, you just couldn't see it, and now you're paying a terrible price. Into the Pit didn't really have that. Besides just, oh, be grateful for what you have, even if it's not much, if you could count that. Into the Pit, I feel like, is one of the... I feel like it's... Because obviously it's the first story, everybody at least knows Yellow Thing, and, like... It's a starter story. But I would just read these stories, and I felt like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's who this was. This means that. And then... obviously, they contain, like, the Springtrap male Mpreg thing, the Sea Bonnies, Gumdrop Angel. But those aren't even important stories. I feel like that's the one thing people don't mention, is those aren't even the important or canon stories. So, you can just kind of skip those ones. But even then, people wildly, like, misconstrue how bad they are, or, like, overblown, overplayed in its message, and just leave it to that basic premise, which I feel it's just a disservice to all these great stories. And I would always wish that people would give them more of a shot instead of just relying on a guy who lied about, like, a lot of story beats, and then people just listen to him and they go off that, which it's completely understandable. Because obviously, who wants to, like, go through all these stories? But I just wish that more people would give them a chance so that they could have I mean, because at this point, they're very, like, especially right now, I'm skipping ahead, but, like, with the Mimic being the main villain, him being Glitchtrap, Burntrap, Edwin Murray, David's Tiger plushie, all that stuff now in the games, it feels like a very prevalent time that you should, hey, maybe... at least check out a little summary of them. Just a, like... and even then, I feel like either way, so long as, like, you're consuming the story, I wish more people would give them a chance, because they're so good. I like them. I look at me now. I'm just talking. I'm just yap. But, all of that being said, I still... again, I'm just repeating the same stuff. Do understand why people would not want to devote that much time into especially Tales, because all of that... okay, so roughly how it goes, I think, is obviously the novel trilogy, that's a separate universe, but we obviously use stuff from them for the games. Fazbear Frights, only half of them are canon, the Stitch Rate stuff, and the rest of them kind of take it or leave it. I got the answer for the Fright Guard, Hudson Foster, from What We Found, and a dear friend of mine on Twitter. Shout out to him. And, Tales from the Pizzaplex is all canon. It even contains the answer to What Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was, which was just fear gas experiments conducted on Michael, Afton, and Crying Child. I will not be using any fan made names for them, with the exception of Garrett, as none of them hold any weight to me. And another thing I feel another reason I feel that those stories don't get as much attention, at least beyond the first 3 Fazbear Fright stories, I feel is that, like I mentioned earlier, with all these gorgeous SFM animations, Blender, all this stuff and fan content, they don't have a lot. They do not have a lot, and even in the first 3 stories, there's not a lot for them. And because I feel they don't even get that much attention from the fans, in that regard of like fan games or animations, not debates, just those, in that regard, it does not help them. It does not help them and their image. I feel, or I think, it doesn't help boost their image, because those are some of the most popular FNAF things, those animations, stuff like that. But because they're not included a lot, not a lot of people know them. And because of that, a lot of them are just kind of... I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. See, this is just all completely unscripted. You're just gonna hear me talk about this for like... You're just gonna hear me talk about Five Nights at Freddy's and me spew random streams of consciousness for 30, 20, whatever minutes. However long this gets when it's edited down. I don't know. But just, again, my point is, I wish these things were talked about more. I wish more of the general FNAF fans. I wish more people talked about them. I wish more people talked positively about them. I wish they were acknowledged more, because a lot of the times when they are, it's through some kind of arguments. Here's a popular one: Cassidy and Andrew. Andrew is the vengeful spirit in Ultimate Custom Night, which was revealed in The Man in Room 1280. William Afton survived the Five Nights at Freddy's 6 fire, and a kid called Andrew, a secret 6 victim that presumably died by hanging, I believe, is the consensus, attached himself to Afton and kept him alive in a nightmare. But before, because of the heavy Golden Freddy imagery, people believed it was Cassidy. I did not, as I came back after. I briefly left after 5 Nights at Freddy's 6 and came back for that. Then, started checking out the books. Which, now it is more leaning to Andrew because of Return to the Pit and various sources confirming Cassidy is a girl spirit. And, the vengeful spirit is referred to as a male. But even then, people do not like him because they had already accustomed to the idea of it being Golden Freddy. And him, as much as I like Andrew, he is not great. He doesn't even have his own story, despite how important he is. And Cassidy already being a somewhat established character that we knew, and it being Golden Freddy, and a line from Henry saying, "Oh, rotten hell," people had obviously didn't like the answer of it being Andrew. They still don't, even though more people are growing to accept it. And it's things like that that make people, I think, as a quote from Scott, is that these books do contain the answers, even if you don't like them. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, when they don't like them, they just will outright not accept them and hold on to something that I'm not even going to say doesn't have a lot of evidence, because it does, but they will just hold on to it and they will not let go no matter what. Another one being Glitch Trap being William Afton, despite him being dead. Like, even if you use the books as the messy definition, people misuse the word parallel a lot. I don't know why. They're not using the correct term, but even if you use that with the books, that would still mean William Afton is just dead somewhere, not him crawling out of hell and attaching to a computer, and then for some reason giving himself a physical body even though his main goal was to escape the weakness of flesh. That's better to a lot of people than just a robot saw him kill a couple kids and said, "Hey, I'm gonna pretend to be you." That's his whole gimmick. And because of things like that, it's just endless, endless debates now. Especially with Secrets of the Mimic. It's just endless debates, people wishing this franchise ended, and just not a lot. I'm not even gonna say there's not a lot of positivity, but like just seeing all that negativity talking about characters that I love, that many people love, and just hearing them, be downplayed and talked down to by many people, or just people outright not, which I'll get into that later. People outright not acknowledging them and ignoring their stories, or just changing their stories to fit a narrative that does not work and does not make sense, it can be a little frustrating. Which is why I'm talking to all of you here right now, just to talk about something I love, to just talk positively about it, to just yap about it. As I mentioned earlier, I am, or I like to consider myself, an artist. I have been drawing for a long time. Most people have, but I have always wanted to do something. I've always wanted to make something out of my art and make something out of myself. And when I stumbled upon Five Nights at Freddy's, something about the way the characters looked and moved just struck me. And I just started drawing. I just started doodling them. I would do it in school, at home. I would upload my drawings onto Amino, with that awful place. And I would just have a great time drawing them. I would want to get better. I'm gonna try to show some examples on screen right here, roughly over this part of the video, of my art over the course of 9-something years. And like where I'm at right now, Five Nights at Freddy's has just been a source of inspiration for me and for so many people for a really long time. Like falling in love with these characters and like wanting to represent them as best as you can in your art, to want to get all those little details and nooks and make them as accurate as Scott did, to really make people think that they hopped off the game onto your page, which I've never achieved that. I don't think I ever have. I think the closest I have ever gotten is Mimic, just because of how much I draw him now, where I'm able to get all his little details down and stuff and stylize them and just pose around the little freaky guy, little freaky 9-foot tall guy that can rip people apart and wear their corpses. Oh, don't we all love the Mimic? But that has always just been a fun thing for me. Just watching those little animations and like doodling along with them and just getting better over time. And because most of the characters are they're not simple, but they're not overtly complicated. They're all just basic shapes. Basic curved shapes upon shapes upon shapes that you just gotta bend and mold until it gets to where you want it to be. And just seeing that all I mean, that's just art in general, but just seeing them all come together and like getting them closer, and with each drawing getting them closer and closer and closer and closer to what you were referencing, to what was on the screen, was such a good feeling. It's such a great feeling. I mean, I'm currently doing that right now with my latest drawing. I will try to show it on the screen somewhere here. And not even just that, once again, talking about the books. Characters that were done dirty in their adaptations. Dave Miller, Charlotte Emily, Henry Emily, any character Pinky Pills touched, fuck that lady. Hudson Foster, again. Tiger Rock, fucking love Tiger Rock. Um, like reading their descriptions and picturing them in your head and then trying to put that on the page. And then seeing how you kind of got it, like seeing how close you could get it. And then like over time, like you slowly start to get better with them, and it's a good feeling. That is also kind of disheartening because, obviously most people are not going to use the actual descriptions, which nothing wrong with that. It is kind of disheartening, I just said that, seeing, all the fan art of the graphic novel or cover versions when it's like, no, that's not what they look like. How are you? You're a fan of this character, you've read the book, but you still use that design. Oh no. That's so mean. That's too mean. I'm sorry. That's so mean. That's too mean. I know some people like that. I love y'all. No offense to you. Why do you do this to me? You are hitting me in the face. I love y'all though. Seeing that just kind of gets me just a little, but there's, again, at the end of the day, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, overall, this series has great, like, I don't know the word for it. I won't say artistic imagery, which is again because of Scott's unique style of, robots. And if you've seen his early work, he went crazy with some of those. I love when people try to design characters and they design them around, like, oh, his Desolate Hope stuff, or what's another one, Pilgrim's Quest. I can't remember all of them, but mostly Desolate Hope. Like, those designs, the way he'd model them, and like just the way the characters would come out would just be so gorgeous to me. And the fact that, like, some character, like Springtrap, he said he was just winging it. Springtrap is nearly the face of this franchise. Next to Freddy Fazbear, he is nearly the face of this franchise, and he was just winging it. Like, that's so incredible. And that's another thing. I'm going to be saying that's another thing a lot. Scott Cawthon's story, as I'm sure you know, is just, despite him not being great, his story is still so inspirational to me. His game is inspirational to millions of people. Like, oh, he was down on his luck, put everything into one basket, and he made one of the most popular indie horror franchises out there. We are on a second, third, possibly fucking 10 movies. Like, we all dream of that. Everybody dreams of their creation reaching those heights, which that's another thing. The fan creations, the other indie horror games that were inspired off of his work. Bendy, Bendy is kind of inspired off of FNAF. I believe that's one of the bigger ones, Bendy and the Ink Machine, which is another indie horror franchise that I hold dear and love. The countless amount of fan games, which I don't like a lot of them, but, they're cool, and they even have their own mini fan bases. What's another? The Walden Files? I don't like the analog horror, but, Walden Files is cool. Just seeing all the beautiful things and awful things, the many awful and many more beautiful things this franchise has spawned, that has inspired so many people to make, is just, that's just it. It's inspiring. This franchise is an inspiration. It's a safe haven. It means a lot to so many people. These characters mean a lot to so many people around the world. Look at how I'm talking about it. I can barely even get my words. I can barely even get my words straight. I can barely even get my point across. And you can just tell how much I love this franchise. I've got posters all around my room I've got my drawings scattered all over the room of these characters that I have pretty much grown up with through 10, 9 years, a decade I have been with this franchise. And these characters, and seeing them grow and evolve, and seeing the people I met along the way follow me throughout this journey, which was only one person, because I should not have been on the internet at that time. But seeing all those people come with me throughout this journey, or just following artists from, the beginning all the way to now and seeing how far they come, it's just amazing. It's just I really hope that I don't sound too cringe or just, I don't know, bootlicky, because sometimes, I imagine that's why there's so many negative videos that are popular, because when you're just, I don't know, being positive about something doesn't usually get as much attention, or you just sound like, I don't know how you sound, but just not good, I imagine, from a lot of people. But I don't care about that. And I'm just happy to be able to do this. I'm just happy that I'm still able to do this. I'm happy that I'm able to make this video right now, and I hope it performs well. I hope that I mean, that's what everyone hopes for, right? That you can become the next big thing. I won't become the next big thing. I'll be happy if this video even gets 20 or 30 views. I would be very happy with. God, what else is there even to say anymore? Well, no, there's lots to say. Again, I barely even delved into. I lost a lot of my talking points along the way here, just as I started, just yapping. But I suppose I should start to wrap this video up. Okay, so I guess to just end off this video, I want to say that Five Nights at Freddy's may not be the scariest or the best or anything like that horror franchise out there. In fact, I'd say I'm not even going to say it's not scary, because it still is to a lot of people, but I want to say that it has a type of horror for everybody, especially, again, in the books. I believe it has something for everybody, and I just think it's beautiful when people attach to those parts, or attach to these characters, and, they become obsessed with them, make accounts over them. And I think, with that being said, you should maybe interact, positively, I should say, positively. Like, next time you think of saying, like, you don't like a character, which you still can, obviously, but, maybe talk to someone who does like them, maybe get their opinion, maybe you can learn to have some appreciate. I mean, that's pretty much, that's pretty much what has happened to me, meeting people, and they have gotten me to take a second look at some parts of the franchise or at characters. Another one being, two characters in specific being Aunt Jane from the FNAF movie and Hudson Foster, which two of my, maybe one of my very good friends on Twitter, I started talking to them, and they, introduced me to their perspective on things, and that got me thinking. I'm like, oh, okay, and I find a new appreciation for these characters. Stuff like that. It's just talking to people, just talking to people about this stuff, having fun with them, laughing with them, and learning to love these characters just as much as they do. And it's a beautiful thing. I don't even know if this counts as an ending narration, because I'm just talking. I don't even know how to end this, but even with all that being said, there is still a massive amount of negativity and hate, misogyny, fatphobia, transphobia that does exist within this franchise. And I would be at fault if I did not acknowledge it at some point in this video. But even with all that being said, do not let that discourage you or think less of this franchise. That is just an unfortunate vocal minority. They are not to be down. It's not trying to downplay it, but it does exist. But I'm saying "but" a lot. I sound like Scott Cawthon. But just please, if you are watching this video and you are, you're not into Five Nights at Freddy's or you're not into a certain aspect of it, I really, really hope that I can do the one thing of getting you to like look in the direction of getting you into it, to give these aspects a proper look, to start to like characters you maybe don't like, to, I don't know, meet new people, just something good out of this, or maybe nothing, maybe, and you don't have to, and that's also all right. Maybe you hate Five Nights at Freddy's and you're watching this and you think I'm dumb. That's also fine. I mean, I'm better than you, objectively. I'm like so fucking cool. Who are you? I'm fucking cool. I'm so cool. Just thank you for watching my little video. Thank you for interacting with me. Like, subscribe, I guess all that. Just maybe I'll do more in the future if this does well. Maybe I won't. Who knows? If anything, my handles are linked in the description. My Twitter, my Instagram. Yeah, just follow, interact with me, and thank you for watching. Have a good morning, evening, night, whatever.